So this car in total to get back on the road has cost me a total of well, this is a little bit different, isn't it? What is going on, everybody? It's Barney here, back at it with another video, and welcome back to Proving Autos. Not the best start to a video day today, guys, if I'm being totally honest. Cupra down. As you guys may have seen on if you guys have seen my last video, where I was blasting my Ibiza Cupra down at Santa Pod Raceway, I did actually say at the start of the video, which kind of might have jinxed things a little bit, if I'm being honest. I said worst case scenario today, I'm probably going to blow my engine, my clutch or my gearbox or something like that, and would have to get towed home. And I did think that if I was to have an issue, it would be actually before leaving Santa Pod, not 15 to 20 miles away from home, which is where the Cupra actually gave up on me, to the point where obviously I deemed the car unsafe to proceed any further. So I suppose my job in this video is to kind of explain the full story, explain what happened, what part failed, and of course the total cost to put it right, which we'll go into that a little bit later on in the video. So I suppose what happened then, well, as you do, left Santa Pod Raceway at about 6 p.m, stopped for some food on the way home, as you do. Very, very nice actually. OK Diner on the A1 if anyone's passing. Very, very well recommended for food. So of course left there again after having a fantastic meal, it's got to be said. So I was on the M180, about 15 to 20 miles away from home roughly. Went over, there's a particular bridge along that stretch of road between junctions 4 and 5 on the M180. There's a particular bridge which you go over. It's not usually a big deal. I mean, it does make a bit, you go over a bit of a lip on a bridge, like usually you go over at 70 miles an hour, you feel a bit of a bump, but don't really think anything of it. In this instance, I went over it at 70 miles an hour, and all I heard was an almighty bang. At this point, I was totally confused. Like, initial instinct, I didn't know what had happened. Like, I didn't know whether I'd hit something, either, you know, something was hanging off the car. At first, I did actually think I'd hit something. I just sort of thinking there's something in the road that I didn't see in time. But ultimately, that was not the case. So originally, I was going to pull over on the old shoulder. That was my initial instinct. But of course, me sort of living near the area, I did know where I was. I knew that there was a petrol station at the next junction, which was only about a mile and a half, 2 miles down the road. So I figured the best course of action, the safest course of action, given that it was about 9:15 at night that this had happened, I figured the best course of action was in fact to just try and limp it into the petrol station and just sort of see what had gone on. Now, I didn't do much filming at the time because I was quite tired and there was just all sorts of things going through my head at this time. Confusion. I was looking around the car. I was sort of thinking, like, it sounded like something had dropped off. So I had a good look around the car, lifted the bonnet, had a good look in the engine bay, had a look under the car, had a good look around the bumper, side skirts and all that. And I couldn't see any damage whatsoever. So at this point, I was a little bit confused as to what had actually happened. So I then get in the car to just turn the steering wheel, and that was when I realised that something had obviously failed. At this point, I didn't know what it was. I thought, is it a drag link? Is it a drop arm? Is it a spring? It could have been all sorts of things. As this little clip that I'm going to show you now, anyone mechanically minded, you guys will probably know the issue straight away. It might be I'm sure it's a very familiar sound to you guys, for those who are mechanically minded. So I'll just include this little clip now, which will, this is to allow, apologies for the poor quality. I recorded it straight on my phone, just uploaded it straight to my Instagram story. So the quality's not the best, but hopefully it will give you guys a little bit of an insight as to what was going on.
Well, this certainly wasn't planned for tonight, guys, that is definitely for sure. Obviously, had such a great day at Santa Pod at Fast Show today, and well, I can't help but noticing, but when I turn the car on, I'll turn the wheel. Yeah, it shouldn't be making that noise.
So on my last video, I did pin a comment to the top of the page, sort of inviting you guys to comment what you thought had gone wrong. If some of you said that you thought that a spring had snapped, then you would be completely correct. Yes, a spring had in fact snapped on the near side front of the car. I did capture a bit of footage on my front dash cam. I'm not going to play audio right the way through, only because I was listening to my own music at the time. I don't get a copyright claim, but I'll just include the audio right where the part failed, just so you guys can get a little bit of an idea. So of course, until I heard the clunking when you turn the steering wheel, that's when I sort of figured, I thought, I'm not going to drive the car anymore. Obviously, I don't want, whatever it is, I don't want to cause any more damage, or even worst case scenario, I don't want something to completely fail on the car to the point where I lose control of the vehicle and I end up crashing. Obviously, that was just something that was just completely out of the question. So I decided at this moment, I'm just going to call breakdown out, get them to deal with it, we'll cover the car somewhere, and we'll deal with the problem another day. So of course, I called breakdown. I was actually really thankful of where the breakdown happened. Green flag, they just send out the nearest agent on their list, and then they come out to you and get you sorted. Now, luckily for me, where this actually happened, Gallows Woods Recovery, who came out to the car, they were actually only based literally about a mile up the road. So literally from putting the phone down to green flag, I only had to wait about 10 minutes before they actually showed up. So actually really thankful for that, and you know, and actually amazed as to how quickly they actually managed to come out. I was expecting to be waiting maybe 2-3 hours, and you know, I've heard stories on how people are left stranded hours out in the cold, and so I'm actually thankful this actually happened where it did, and not 2 hours down the road, like close to the Santa Pod. So doing a little bit of digging, when you replace springs, it is recommended apparently that you do replace them in pairs. So if you're doing one side, it makes sense to do the other side as well, because I was sort of thinking, well, if that side's failed, how long is it going to be until the next side failed? Now, I could have just gone and put a standard spring on it at this point, but you know what? We're going to fix the car with a little modification, as you do, okay? So I took it upon myself. I thought, you know what? We're not going to put standard springs back on the car. We're going to do a little lowering upgrade. Now, I was looking into springs and coilovers. I decided at this moment, springs over coilovers, just for the simple matter is that A, I feel like you do have to spend a good amount of money on coilovers to actually get a decent set. 2, it's just a way to get the car back on the road as quickly as possible. And 3, I just think it will be a better option for daily use, considering this car, this is my only car, and I do use it every day. Depending on whether I do actually intend to keep the car long term, I will end up putting coilovers on down the line. I was going to change the shockers as well. Be aware that putting lowering springs on a car will weaken the standard shockers, because it's just putting a little bit more stress on them. Now, the car was recovered to PDH Automotive in Grimsby, which is of course where I get all the work done on my cars. So yeah, the car's been with them for the last week or so. It took me a few days to sort of deliberate which upgrade kit to put on it. So in the end, I decided to go for the Apex lowering springs from Orsa. Lowers the car for about 35 mil all round. It would be nice to go a little bit lower, but I thought, you know what, it's a nice drop. The car will look great when it's done. So of course the lowering springs have now arrived at the garage. Currently Tuesday at the minute. Wednesday, which is tomorrow, that's when the car is actually booked in to get fixed. So fingers crossed he can get on with it tomorrow, and fingers crossed he doesn't find any more issues. Okay, so fast forward about 5 days or so, and now I can very safely say that the Cupra is back and looking 10 times better. So yes guys, the Cupra is back on the road and ready for some more miles. We've fixed it. We haven't just fixed it, we've also done a little upgrade. As you can probably see, she's sat much lower. Now, I know first thing people are going to say is it needs spacers. Yes, I do completely get that. We will address that issue a little bit further down the line. But for now, I think my main priority was to get the car back on the road as quickly as possible. It just seemed most sensible. I thought, you know what, it was something that I was going to do a little bit further down the line once I had a bit more cash. But I thought, since it was a spring that had snapped, it just makes perfect sense to just bring that date forward. So yes, as you can see, as I've mentioned before, we went for the Apex 35mm low-end springs, which I purchased from Awesome. So shout out to them for sending them out to me so quickly. You can. It has got a bit of a weird colour combination now, I suppose, with the red calipers. You can, I don't know if you can just see, you can in fact just see the springs in the corner. Oh yeah, I think you can just about capture that on camera now. Can't see it very well. So yeah, it is a bit of a weird colour combination now, I suppose, red and yellow. It does look a bit weird, but beggars can't be choosers, as they say. Honestly, this is looking so much better. Now, I'll do a full review on the springs. Of course, they've only been on the car for a few days. It's now Sunday. I did pick the car up on Wednesday. So I'm not going to do a review on the springs yet until they have settled. So we'll save that for a future video down the line. Now, yes, I suppose you guys are going to be most interested on how much did all this actually come to price-wise. So I think let's jump in the car now and we'll break down the cost and go into a little bit more detail. So of course, two big thank yous to give. One to Awesome GTI for getting these Apex springs out to me so quickly, once I'd actually decided which setup I was going to go for. And secondly, big thank you to PDH Automotive, who have carried out all the work on the car, who also claim to be Grimsby's finest disc and pad specialist, or up until lately, the Ford wet belt specialist. If you know, you know. Anyway, yeah, I suppose let's dive into the cost breakdown on how much the car actually cost to fix and also upgrade it at the same time, as I've mentioned. So, labour came to £234. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. I'm sure everybody's got a mate called Mark or Steve or Fred who can do the job much cheaper, or I'm suppose you probably guys are also thinking, why didn't you just carry this out yourself? Well, this wasn't really a job that I know it's probably as straightforward, but it wasn't a job I was prepared to carry, and one, I don't really have the tools for it, and secondly, I didn't really have the confidence to carry it out myself. So of course, that's why we took the car to PDH Automotive. The fact of the matter is that I kind of think these days, good work really is hard to find. And, you know, and you guys all know the saying, you get what you pay for. And really, my opinion, you are paying a bit of a premium, but you really are paying for top, high quality work. Okay, so massive shout out to them. Now, the parts themselves were actually very cheap. I was sort of thinking at the same time as the springs, I was thinking I was also trying to find an upgrade which also upgraded the shockers as well. Now, the problem is that I actually decided in the end, it was actually the main sort of reason I decided springs over coilovers at this stage, is that I quite like the idea of having the electronic dampers, which of course the car stiffens up when you press sport mode, for instance. I kind of quite like the idea of keeping that all in place. So in the end, there wasn't really, apart from upgrading the shockers as well, the electronic dampers would probably have to come out. Lowering springs does put a lot more pressure, a lot more stress on the standard shocks. I decided at this point, and then I sort of thought, well, you know what? I've run lowering springs on quite a few cars before. 2 or 3 of my previous cars have also had lowering springs. The standard shockers, I've not had a single problem with them. So I thought, you know what, let's just keep the standard shocks in place. We'll obviously find out down the line whether that was actually a good move or not. At the minute, I think they're absolutely fine. Whether I do intend to keep the car long term or not, I'm a little bit unsure on my future plans for the car. One part of me wants to keep it, turn it into a bit of a toy, and maybe get a cheap daily as a bit of a runabout. But then the other part of me is thinking an A45 is also calling quite highly on the card. So maybe next year, I don't know, but I suppose we'll just have to wait and see. So yeah, anyway, back to the question in hand. So the lowering kit itself from the Apex 35mm lowering springs from Awesome, in total, including VAT and shipping, came to £149.64. And also another thing which I actually did on Friday as well, about 2 days ago, I also got the tracking done. Now, the thing is that if you have any sort of suspension work done on the car, or you know, whether you're replacing, even if you're just replacing standard springs, or whether you're replacing like drag link, you know, ball joints, stuff like that, chances are it's going to throw the tracking out. Now, the springs do still need to settle. Obviously, I've only had them on the car like for a matter of days. So, like over time, over the next sort of few weeks, the springs will settle and the car will sit a little bit lower. So at the time of filming this, the springs haven't really had time to settle. So over the next sort of 2, 3, 4 weeks or so, the springs will settle and the car will drop just a little bit more. So one thing I have done, I did get the tracking done the other day at Bush Tyres. So thank you to them for sorting it out for me. And considering it was Good Friday as well, so you know, I can understand that they were very busy and they're very, very limited staff. So the tracking costs me £48.84. Now, once the springs have settled, I'm going to give it about a month or so, then I'll probably go back and get it done again, because chances are once the springs have settled, that will throw the tracking out a little bit again. So let's add all this up then. 234, that's the labour, plus the parts, £149.64, plus the tracking, which came to £48.84. So this car in total, to get back on the road, has cost me a total of £432.48. That is, of course, not including the second lot of tracking, which I'm going to get. I'm going to get the wheel alignment done again in 2 weeks' time. That's not including that, of course. So, but right now, £432.48. So I'm just really thankful, really, that the problem, it was actually nothing major, and you know, if I could actually done the job myself on the parents' driveway, this would have cost me just under 200 quid. Thankfully, it wasn't an engine or gearbox or anything like that. It was only something pretty minor. You know, I was a little bit surprised because the car has proved to be, over the time that I've had the car, which is over a year now, about 14 months now I think I've had the car, and it has proved to be very, very reliable. So I was a little bit surprised when the spring actually gave way, but this is cars, it happens, and I think, you know, let's fix it and let's move on. So hopefully, touch wood, fingers crossed, the car will be good for a few more miles yet. Jinxed that in the last video, really hope I haven't just jinxed that now by saying that. So yes, that is of course the Cupra fixed. And now of course we will be going back to PDH Automotive in the next video, because we're doing another little upgrade as well. I'm not going to give too much away on what that is right now, but I think it's definitely an upgrade that is definitely well due on the car. So really, really excited to be bringing you guys that. By the time this video's gone live, that would have already happened. But yeah, really excited to be getting that done and bringing you more good things on this car. But anyway, guys, I think I will wrap this one up. If you've enjoyed the video, guys, a thumbs up is always appreciated. Also, now would be a perfect time to get subscribed to the channel if you haven't done so already. And of course, make sure you hit the bell icon to turn on all notifications. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you look after yourselves, stay safe, and I will see you all in another video very, very soon.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Ooh, I've been on the flex since flex zone. Neighborhood all in your eardrums.